Hey guys, it's Vaughn, and joining me today is Michael. We are resuming our commentary of the Indiana Jones movie. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Glad you could join us.
All right, we are watching from 1989 Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This is a movie I haven't seen in a while, at least 10 years. So if I think maybe Michael, you've seen it more recent than I have.
Couple months back.
Okay, so you're definitely going to be ahead of me on this. So if you guys want to watch this with us, it's on Netflix at the moment. And it'll probably bounce around between Hulu, Prime, whatever is going to have its rights. Go ahead, open that up, scroll to 000, and hit play now. Yes, the trusty Paramount Pictures, a Gulf Western company. I miss those simpler logos we used to get out of movies, the painting, and recurring motif with the Indiana Jones movies. That mountain is always incorporated into the first shot, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just love the way they cleverly blend it into something in each movie, respectively. It's like it always fades away into something into the movie. Now, what is it that
Where do you
makes.
think this movie ranks for you? I've heard a lot of people say this is their favorite in the series
If I had to pick a favorite, I say Raiders. This behind in
as
second
well.
place.
Yeah, maybe. I don't hate Temple of Doom like some people. It's gotten a bad rap. But you know what? I will say this, that as the Indiana Jones films progress, the effects get worse. Maybe they get more ambitious and that's their downfall, but I think that you don't find a lot of bad effects in the first movie. And then you start to see some wonky composite work. And then in this one, particularly the plane sequence doesn't look remotely real. And then, of course, Crystal Skull.
Someone tell me I'm not the only one who thinks it looks like that boulder was about to fall. Did you see that a moment ago?
I'm not so sure. It is nice having some scenery to look at. You don't see that in movies now. They just go, oh, hey, how can we stay in an air-conditioned environment? Did it show a time yet? Didn't this take place like 100 years ago?
It will. We're
This
getting to
opening.
that. Now, what is it that makes a good trilogy good? I can't answer that, but I can say one of the things is having all three films have their own different, unique look to it. I think they really
For some time, this was
get
an
that out of the park on
unblemished
these.
trilogy. There aren't many of those left. I would say as unblemished trilogies go, I know some people would say, what, Lord of the Rings? That was 3 movies, right? And Back to the Future did pretty well. I would say Austin Powers deserves some recognition. Okay, so we have our Boy Scout troop that actually goes on adventures.
Rest in peace, River Phoenix. I think it was spot on casting. Didn't he play Harrison Ford's son in Mosquito Coast?
May have, I'm not sure.
Here's one thing I know. One of these thieves here, the one with the curly blonde hair, that's Bradley Gregg, who was River Phoenix's brother in Stand By Me.
Are they really thieves?
Well, I guess we're.
I mean, it's weird to think that they're taking treasure for profit, but Indiana Jones has some kind of righteous motive, although it still keeps him employed. It seems a little. Oh, 1912. Wow. So this takes place before Red Dead Redemption 2, which it really plays up Wild West. And here, you don't get the sense that this is Wild West. This seems very much like modern society, just in a remote area. Totally unafraid of snakes until like, and this is a thing that happens with these. Though not associated with George Lucas at the moment, like the Star Wars stuff. In the Han Solo movie, I haven't seen it. Doesn't he get like all his traits in one movie from his origin? So here we get everything that makes Indiana Jones in one afternoon. He gets afraid of snakes. He gets the whip. He gets the hat. I don't think he gets a jacket, does he?
Yeah, that'll come later. But supposedly he gets the idea from the leader of these guys. He's got the jacket, the fedora.
No, he gives it to him.
Well, he gives him the hat.
He gives him the hat. Right? He does run off with his look.
Now, of course, we'll see Sean Connery playing Indiana Jones's father in this, but that's just one of a few James Bond references here. We'll see some actors who also appeared in James Bond movies, and a moment ago he said, let Mr. Havelock know. Well, in For Your Eyes Only, the Bond girl, her last name was Havelock.
That seems like a weird coincidence then. Well, I mean, Sean Connery's not even in that film. I mean, look at this. The guy, they have a car. Cars are hard to come by in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Now, watching this movie as many times as I have, right here where he just climbs aboard the train, are those real giraffes? With their heads popping out?
I would say unlikely. I didn't see a lot of movement there. I would really doubt that's a giraffe. I mean, you have to wonder what's more trouble, having some fake giraffes or actually putting giraffes on a train. Definitely not a snake, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he is afraid of snakes. Check. Next train car, doesn't he get his whip?
Yeah, that's coming. Plus the scar on his chin.
Yeah, he uses the whip and he hits himself, right? Which, until people pointed out that, oh, that's the way he gets the scar on his chin, I hadn't, like, in watching this as a kid, I didn't realize he had a scar until seeing it in, like, HD. Now, not an actual rhino here, but not terrible looking, I guess, right?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't look that much, well, okay, it doesn't look that real, but it doesn't look too different from some of the animatronics you would see in Jurassic Park, 4 years later? You know, the guy chasing him here, the boss, he kind of looks like Dylan McDermott.
Yeah, I see the resemblance.
I don't know who this actor is. Does he show up in anything else?
I'd have to look that up.
Now, that would be an actual lion. You know, I'm surprised the guys didn't say, toss me the cross, then we'll pull you up, right? Like in the first film, throw me the idol, throw you the whip.
Yeah, good point. I guess they could have done that. But then it's a question of, well, will they help Indy get out?
Still has snakes on him. Jeez. You think he would have noticed? This room, doesn't it bring to mind the? I would say there's some magic involved in Marion's escape in Raiders of the Lost Ark. She gets into the vase and then like disappears.
Something like that.
Now, of course, realistically, this doesn't work. What he does here. I mean, it doesn't. It's not even remotely realistic. Like how there's no trap door under the train car because the train car wouldn't be part of the act, you know.
And if there is, where would the trap hole be looped
And
to?
how would he safely get out of there? He would be underneath the train, right?
Right.
Ran over. Pretty ran down place he's got. Now, they said that the dog's name was Indiana, right?
Right. We don't know that until the end. Okay, so we're led to think they're thieves, but as we'll see in just a moment, apparently they recovered it legally. Because it actually belongs to this guy in the white suit.
But, I mean, I don't think that this guy is the rightful owner. They're claiming to be, and maybe the sheriff's buying that. Maybe he's bribing the sheriff, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of a weird thing to do here. Well, too bad, kid. I'm going to give you this hat. And now, villain 1 of the movie is going to get his comeuppance here, right?
Yeah, it's coming.
Though it's not the same goons. He has refreshed his roster. I have to wear a white suit so that it makes sense. For decades, I have only worn white. And I have to have like a red carnation and a cane and everything. You know, if you had a cane at the age he was shown earlier, by now he'd have a wheelchair, wouldn't he?
Maybe. I think this actor was in his 60s at the time. I guess it depends on his character.
So much water. They don't even put up with water in movies now. They just go CGI, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if this was a modern film, you would have so many further back shots showing the boat rocking, and then there'd be like a weird sweeping shot and somebody leaning over as trying to show you that they're on an ocean, even though you'd look even less like they were, right?
Right. Where they'd be on a set, there would be water spraying in all directions, so it would all appear real. But nowadays...
Well, here they can't pan out far because you would see all of that, and it would lose the magic.
Okay, so how did Indiana even catch up with these guys? Did they capture him?
Or they caught him, right? I'm guessing they captured him. Miniature explosion. I would take a miniature explosion over a CGI explosion right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how Indiana Jones retains his hat. Like, hats always fall off of me. I don't know how people ride in convertibles with hats. Indiana Jones can do anything. And they show him, you know, there's like this What was it actually used in the marketing or the TV spot showing him? They're stapling his hat on. Right? You've seen that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
It would have been funny if they had brought that up in the fourth movie and be like, "Hey, how do you keep your hat?" Well, I'm stapling it in. The girls are still swooning over him like it's 1981.
Now, is this the same university from Raiders?
X never ever marks the spot. I'm the assumption it is. Exterior, I think it may be. And if it or it may have changed over a course of time. I can't recall. I think it is an Ivy League school that they use, but maybe not the same one each time. But of course, you have Denholm Elliott here is the boss, so it's not like they change. Hey, we're both moving to a different university. Unfortunately, nothing really comes of this cross, right? Like it doesn't do them any good for the rest of the movie.
They never bring it up again, as far as I'm aware. But they just bring it to where they think it should go in the museum.
But it's weird to think that it's on us to decide what to do with other cultures' items. Like, oh, it seemed okay. This is Spanish. Maybe, possibly, make it a gift to Spain rather than our museum.
He must have been away from the office for a long time to have all these students needing something.
It's almost like they want autographs. Like he's the star leaving the performance at walking to the get makeup, you know, that sort of scene.
Yeah.
And they're just outside his dressing room. That's some office he got. They'll never see me climb out this window. This one actually takes place last among the original three movies. The second film takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark, and though being a prequel is never said to be a prequel, like I don't think the term prequel comes up in the lexicon until 1999 with The Phantom Menace. Though here he has already obtained the Ark, and he will make reference to that. You can trust me. I've got a black tux with a red carnation. Or a rose. Mm-hmm. Is that a rose?
Yeah. Enter our main villain, Walter Donovan, played by Julian Glover, a.k.a. General Veers in The Empire Strikes Back.
Did he get choked out by Vader?
No, that was Captain Nita and Admiral Ozzel. And he was also the villain in For Your Eyes Only. So, there you go. So to this day, that makes him, as far as I'm aware, the only actor who played a villain in Star Wars, James Bond, and Indiana Jones.
Interesting. You may be right about that.
He's actually British.
However, Alison Doody here was a Bond villain in A View to a Kill.
That's right. As I was saying, to get this, he had to do an American accent.
This isn't unsimilar to Raiders of the Lost Ark. He has an adventure to kick things off. It's unrelated to the rest of the movie. Though in that film, the guy who foils his heist, one could say, ends up being the villain for the rest of the movie. I mean, he kind of dispatched the the bad at the beginning here. Then somebody comes to him with some information. We have a job for you, and something of Christian holiness, right? So
I've never been, excuse me, I've never been able to catch it, but when his wife comes in right here, if you listen very carefully, the piano music being played in the ballroom there is the Imperial March.
oh, I may have to listen to that again. I heard only a little bit of it. The Imperial March starts with Empire Strikes Back being hit the Star Wars film he's in, though they've added the Imperial March after the fact to the original movie when Vader enters scene, making it sort of a Darth Vader theme. All right, I think that's a carnation. I don't see roses bloom out that far.
Looking back now, this
Did
was
they
the
say
one
what
I.
kind of party he's having? Like they've got a party going on. He's neglecting his guests.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. I was going to say, looking back now, this was the one I definitely watched the most on VHS. But I
This is the
remember,
one I saw the least. If I feel like Temple of Doom got the most play on cable.
and depending
It seemed
on,
like it was just on all the time.
yeah, and depending on who would air it, it would be so many different versions depending on what they'd censor from the movie.
What kind of stuff would they censor from this?
From Last Crusade,
Yeah. I don't think this one has the extreme violence thing going, though. I guess the rapid aging thing at the end.
that's the only thing I can think of. Maybe when they're on the tank when he shoots like 4 or 5 Nazis in a row with the same bullet.
Oh, well, I don't think that's a matter of censorship. That's the formatting for the 4:3 television. You end up seeing one less guy get shot. The pan and scan kind of cuts a guy off.
Uh huh. But here's the thing with me watching these on VHS, just for so many years until widescreen was a thing, I remember like the picture would cut out half of what we see versus what we'd be seeing in widescreen. Like we'd be seeing two people on screen at the same time if it was widescreen. If it was standard, we'd see only one of them, then it would cut away to the other.
So he said his dad disappeared. He goes to his dad's house and it's wrecked, right?
Right. So they were in Utah at the beginning. I think they're in New York here.
They've had Indiana Jones in fairly formal attire for quite some time. I think he was out of this get up way sooner in Raiders, right?
Yeah, it was similar to this.
Now that is his hat, though, right? So he keeps the hat, changes the rest of the wardrobe. So the hat is a dual purpose adventure and a man about town get up.
Yeah. Well, we see he dresses formally when need be. As I recall, during Temple of Doom, he wore a dinner jacket.
Now, if I remember right, this balloon looks a little wonky. Don't trust anybody. That comes back to bite them. Also, when people say "be careful," it. Oh yeah, later on we're gonna have a balloon, right? When he's with his dad. But when people say "be careful," that can sometimes be a tip that they're not the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is this map accurate to the time?
I think so. I'll have to look into it, but I think so.
It doesn't seem to be going over as many turmoil regions as prior. All right, here's where it really hits the jackpot. Bam. That is prime time hot 80s babe right there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm thinking absolute top of the list. Now, she's an Irish actress, kind of putting on a German accent.
Yeah, German, Austrian.
And really, I would say an unknown at this. She had a small role as Jenny Flex in 1985 of View to a Kill. Other than that, I don't think anything Hollywood audiences would have seen.
Maybe some television movies here and there. Nothing I can think of.
This is weird. He's like, oh, hey, I want to put a flower on you right now, so, okay.
To this day, I still don't know what that was all about. A gesture, I'm hitting on you.
Yeah, like immediate. Like, oh, well, she's hot and she's a doctor? Oh, well, I guess that qualifies. This is a cool looking library. It's so important to have bookshelves really high and daunting. And stained glass. Very important for a library. Remember, X never marks the spot. Indiana Jones said so.
Mm-hmm. Like, how many times do we learn never say never? Too many to count.
Well, I think, of course, he was looking for the tomb. I mean, what good would it really do to be looking for the book about the tomb? Then you'd still need to find the tomb. I mean, if you're finding the book about it, the idea would be to find the tomb, I would think. Where's the 10th? I would think that if you were on the ground looking at, you would see the X without actually having to go up the stairs to point at it and then go back down.
Mm-hmm.
but it makes for a good reveal for the audience. Hey, we don't have a permit or permission, and it's a good thing it's just not very busy in here right now.
Always some visual slapstick humor right here. You think this was George Lucas's idea?
I'm not so sure. I think there's a recurring thing in Spielberg movies to have these enlarging the scope of the movie, to have sort of observers in the film. Like things will happen in a Spielberg movie. There'll be a chase, and other people will watch it just to kind of show you that, hey, there's other people in this movie too. Like, sure, these are our main characters, but somebody else is taking in or being affected by the adventure. I mean, I'm thinking of in Minority Report. There's a chase where Tom Cruise is using like the jetpack thing, and he hits the ceiling, and it makes these people in this apartment above him. The table shakes, and they act like it might be haunted. Oh, here's where we get our Ark of the Covenant reference, right?
Yeah, it's coming. I don't know how long they keep that lighter illuminated
So
to
in the
light
first
their path,
movie,
but would it
he
stay lit up that
deals.
long?
Yeah, lighters are magic in movies, aren't they?
Well, they sure are in this one.
We can knock him out easily. Well, you have what snakes largely is the thing in the first movie. Then you have more insects. There are some insects in the first movie, but there's more insects than snakes in the second. And now we're going to have rats. And I guess that gets replaced by what, maybe ants and monkeys in the fourth.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, the ants are more of a threat.
Once again.
The rats are not a threat here, though. The rats are not about to attack them. It's, and I guess in some other ways you could think, well, the insects Willie puts up with, also not necessarily a threat, but kind of a gross out factor. Like, what can we do to kind of get people jumping in the seats?
Uh-huh. And once again, I guess X really does mark the spot.
Is X going to mark the spot any more in the movie?
I can't remember. We'll see.
It's petroleum-based rich area, right? So does that mean that he's on billions of dollars worth of oil here?
About that. It's kind of early for them to get into the big phobia scene. I think in Raiders and Temple of Doom, the rats and the insects were about halfway in. We're not even at the halfway mark. Here we are already.
She's a good sport. She is not dressed for this, and yet she pushes forward.
If it were Willie Scott, I'm sure she'd be freaking out.
Oh, there would be yelling. It wouldn't stop. She'd be yelling the whole time. They would have heard the yelling from upstairs, and that would have led them to her. Stunt legs, maybe? Oh, maybe not if they're going to have a close-up of her face next to the rats, right? Don't worry, these are trained Hollywood rats. They're not going to bite you. Look at that, waist deep. Notice how she's being like the expert here. It's this one. She tries to be the expert later in the movie as well. Now, doesn't he do a... Yeah, he's going to do a little Boy Scout type copy here, right?
Uh-huh. And he had to be precise to lay the scroll down at exactly the right location on the shield there so he could scribble in the rest of it.
Uh-oh, why are all the rats coming here?
Obviously, some fake
Clearly
wind-up
not rats in the
right
fire. Yeah, a lot of fake rats sitting still next to the fireball. Of course, now we'd have CGI rats, obviously.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about this part right here. Could you swim around and open your eyes under petroleum and be able to see what's around you?
Oh, good question. All right, understandably screaming at this point.
But the water looked clear all of a sudden there when they were underneath the tomb. Didn't look as murky. Water, petroleum. Don't mind us, enjoy your lunch.
Such a cool looking boat. Now, I like the moment up here where he's like telling her not to do something, but she only hears some of it. So, what is it like? Don't go between them. What, go between them? Like,
This chase feels like something we'd see in a Bond movie. I think they did a boat chase in Moonraker.
now how are these guys keeping their hats on?
Movie magic.
Getting pushed together. Yeah, things got a little explodey right there.
Of course he doesn't need to shoot them, just hit the fuel line.
Oh, this is a cool set piece thing here too. Like, it kind of brings to mind the conveyor belt fight with the Rock Crusher in Temple of Doom.
Yeah. There's a blooper
More
coming
so
up.
than I think it does. What's happening?
All right, watch carefully. It's coming. See, they're heading towards the propeller. It's starting to chop up the boat.
Yeah, I think doesn't the boat grow?
Right
That looks really
here,
cool.
here, it's where it smashes the middle section. It looks like it's back together there. See, right there.
Yeah, it had flipped up. That's not that big of a goof because it's not really taking up that much screen real estate. I've seen worse. Was that a stunt driver? A stunt Alison Doody there driving in?
I couldn't tell. It happened so fast.
You know, they could have just mentioned this to him. I don't think that they necessarily needed. They need his help more than they need to kill Indiana Jones, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know. This guy Hitler could end up with it, or somebody else. I think Indiana Jones could do less harm with it. Maybe we should help him. Here we go with the big flower on the suit again. Big red flowers.
Must have been a common thing in the 30s.
Flowers were so fashionable, Indiana Jones had to go and pin one on her, like right away. It's like, you're walking around in public without a flower? Is using their archaeological information knowledge here. Like, well, the present city of this could be the place. I do find it weird, this scene where they have to retrieve his diary. Like, oh, well, I wrote it all down so I wouldn't have to remember it. Well, if you're such the expert, I don't think that we really need the document, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really odd scene, and it'll be coming up. It just kind of seemed out of place. And then you also have the weirdness of Ilsa has shacked up with dad and son. Like, but I think Indiana Jones learns that after he's with her, right?
Yeah, it's coming.
Somebody has wrecked our place.
I think in the novel, there was a scene where he comes in on her. She's taking a bubble bath.
If someone ransacked the place, wouldn't they have gone in the bathroom as well? I mean, all that happened while she was taking a bath, I guess.
You'd think, but as we find out later, she did it herself because she was looking for the diary.
It makes more sense that way. Like, it's nice to see Harrison Ford in a movie where it looks like he wants to be in a movie. I think half of his movies, he's there reluctantly.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird. I don't like fast women. Continue smooch.
I think at this point it's common knowledge Harrison Ford likes Indiana Jones more than Han Solo.
Okay, here we are with another map. They actually have a drive with the red telestrator across the map. Usually that's reserved for a plane. Now that looks like that distant shot there. There was some artificial dressing up of rain in front of that. You could tell it was added in post. It says fake sneeze in the captions. Another easy knockout. Something that I think is in every Indiana Jones film.
Mm-hmm.
The one-hit knockout blow.
They make it look so easy in the movies.
Oh, they sure do. There's not a lot of, roughing around, taking it to the ground, and getting choked repeatedly throughout movies. It's just an easier way to get by people with the one-punch knockout. All right, we're going to swap clothes around. I got to do some adventuring. I kind of think they lose her as protagonist too soon. Like, the reveal should have been later. Because she's off the team, like, as soon as Dad shows up. So it's like Indiana Jones swaps sidekicks. All right, at what time are we here? Sean Connery first enters at 47, nearly 48 minutes into the movie.
You could buy them as father and son, never mind their 12-year age difference. But then again, in movies, when do father and son ever look alike? Never mind the Scottish accent versus the American accent.
Well, of course, one could be born in America. I don't suppose we need to know where Henry was born. So it may not be revealed necessarily. Traveled plenty, I'm sure. Sean Connery's character here is so different than in any other movie he's in. He's sort of a weird, like, bumbling thing, like Mr. Magoo in a way.
Mm-hmm.
he's definitely like the comic relief character. Oh, don't worry, there were rats. Okay, so right now the diary is with Indiana Jones, right?
Right.
But maybe he leaves it with Elsa, and
So did these soldiers know Indiana was here? They just come in, they wanted to get the
it
diary
seems
from...
like it, doesn't it? Like, I'm guessing Ilsa told them, right?
Yeah, but they came to retrieve the diary because supposedly Henry had it. Or at least they think he did.
It's a little weird. It's like they definitely expected Indiana Jones in there. So I guess Ilsa could have told them.
I mean, they were holding him prisoner there because he had the diary they needed. So why would they wait until now to recover it? Okay, so in every movie we have to have a main
Yeah, go ahead. I like that.
We have to have a main henchman who's kind of the muscle. That's what Colonel Vogel here, I think, serves as.
Yeah, you're right. He's the one that goes in the tank right off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't trust his dad. I'm sorry. Well, I don't think you understand. I kind of think this could have worked just as well if she was holding on to the diary and then that's the betrayal. But we're not at the point where this is the kind of twist, you know? Like, we're a third of the way in.
Well, it's one of the twists.
So he has effectively traded sidekicks. Like, as soon as Dad appears, she's out of the way. Oh, the plot thickens.
You sly dog, Sean. Even when he's not James Bond, he's the ladies' man.
And here we go with another twist back to back. Double cross. I am wondering who all was at his party. He could have had like a Nazi get-together over at his pad when Indiana Jones showed up.
Could have. It was certainly the time period. I think we're still at 1938 here. Let's see, it was, I think, 1935 to 1943 when Hitler was in power.
When did America get involved in the war? Because prior to America getting involved, I think there was quite a high Nazi population in the U.S.
1939, I think. I'd have to look into that.
He's not up to the challenge, indeed. He's got a 2-day head. He's like, he's got friends everywhere. He knows how to do this stuff. He's incredibly dangerous. It's like he's talking him up like he just gave the information to James Bond. You'll never find him.
No, not exactly. Sticks out like a sore thumb. John Rhys-Davies is back as Sala.
He got very fortunate right here. Hopefully he was looking for Sala.
And let's not forget
I'm pretty sure he was.
Let's not forget he was in a James Bond movie. He was General Pushkin in The Living Daylights.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking John Rhys-Davies was. Oh, this doesn't look good. Giving him a hint. He can't seem to take it. This is a really weird scene in an Indiana Jones movie at this point because we have characters with a scene that Indiana Jones is nowhere near, right?
Yeah.
And we have all the Indiana Jones like stuff going on. Like they did a similar escape in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but here it's getting captured. As far as the fake marketplace type thing. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be scenes in Indiana Jones that don't have Indiana Jones in them.
This guy playing Colonel Vogel was also in a Bond movie. He was the submarine admiral in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, that's sometime later. 97. Was he the British submarine guy? Or was he with the... Yeah, I guess it was a British submarine that gets taken out at the beginning of that movie.
Actually, he's towards the end of the movie.
Okay, was that a submarine, that boat, though?
I think
that
so.
Jonathan Pryce had?
Yeah.
It was like a stealth boat thing. I wasn't sure if it was a sub or not. I can't recall immediately. And I watched that movie not that long ago, about a year back. Oh, come on. I don't get the smoochie. Oh, are you going to kiss him? Is that what you're showing up for? That's almost what it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start a fire trying to escape, right? Accidental fire.
Yeah, it's coming.
They tied that rope very high across the shoulders. It shouldn't be that hard to slip out of the top.
Doesn't look... That's what I was thinking.
Is it even in a knot? Like, it looks like you see it looped around them. Oh, not good.
Well, that rug on chair caught on fire awful easy.
Move. I hope you can tell she's bad. She's smoking. In case you didn't figure it out already.
Uh-huh. Looks similar to A View to a Kill when Bond and Tanya Roberts, the Bond girl, they're stuck in the elevator. I think there was a similar scene where she's in a car watching as they're driving away, just kind of an evil look in her eyes.
Yeah, but she wasn't the bad guy or nothing. She was just kind of a dimwit.
Well, she was working for him, but carrying out orders.
Well, I'm saying Tanya Roberts wasn't a villain.
No, she was the Bond girl in
In A View
that.
to
She
a
was
Kill.
stuck in the elevator with him.
When the building's on fire?
Yeah, when they're at City Hall.
Shouldn't some smoke be kicking about?
You'd think, but now they're observant when they...
Hollywood fires are very light on smoke. Inside, you know? And look, he just kind of lifts that up. You could
Again,
hear that punch sound effect when he punched the guy.
yeah, another
You could hear it rather than see it.
easy one-punch knockout.
Mm-hmm. What a way to trigger the stairs. The mechanical operation necessary to do that. I mean, I was thinking about this. In Indiana Jones, is that the first time you see traps in tombs and stuff? Or were there movies with elaborate traps that couldn't possibly have been created by ancient civilizations in movies before Raiders of the Lost Ark?
None that I can think of.
I suppose you could trip over a wire and then a dart shoots out. Like, that seems sensible enough, but more elaborate things. You lift the idol up, the whole place collapses. It doesn't seem like they'd have the engineering know-how to facilitate that.
Okay, now can't they tell they're not in that boat even from that far away? And I doubt they'd be getting away that slowly.
One would hope, you know. They got into a crate, yet the crate was closed when they bust through it, like as though they were shipped, you know?
Mm-hmm. I guess they could seal it up when they got in.
That'd be totally... okay, we're going to get in here and now pull this back up. I don't know. Can you pull it up from inside? Or on the inside the crate, maybe it's flat because you have the exteriors where everything's nailed in. They have a pretty good chase here. He has held on to that umbrella, and it will come in handy. Not that it's raining. I mean, it was raining earlier. Now it's not. But
Could he snap that pole loose that easily?
super doubtful. It would have to have not had any bolting on it at all, and even then, picking it straight up while you're driving to lift it out of something, I would not advise.
I mean, I know it's a movie, but come on. It's made out of what, wood? I doubt it would break that easily.
I like this move here.
Uh,
Big cloud of dust. I don't know why Sean Connery is so dissatisfied with that, you know? Oh, go ahead and shoot her. She's a Nazi. Go ahead. Oh, you hurt that poor guy on the motorcycle.
and earlier, when he shoots down the guards, like, look what you did! I can't believe what you did! In the novel,
I think this
Indiana
is a weird deterrence in this movie where they're like, well, we have to go get the diary. Not that there's much, like, really happening over there. They go to Berlin to get the diary, but nothing really comes of it. They may as well have had the diary already. And besides, you're talking to the guy who not only wrote it, but has spent a considerable amount of time researching this. What could he have forgotten? So I wouldn't have to remember, sure.
Or maybe he'd keep spare copies of some pages that are, like, more important just in case.
He does say something good when they arrive there that I say on occasion. It's like, we're pilgrims in an unholy land. Again, we are concerned that the Nazis will get their hands on artifacts of God with power. The mystery of Mom. Who could Mom have been played by?
Good question.
Now, the guy who plays Hitler here, does he play Hitler in other movies?
I think so. Seeing his bio, it's actually Michael Sheard, who was Admiral Ozzel in The Empire Strikes Back. But probably at his request, he's uncredited in this movie.
How tough would it be for them to travel and get this close? Because, I mean, like, just what they do here is like a whole movie of Allied operation, joint adventure type, Guns of Navarone type stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just getting this close to Hitler is a whole movie. And they're just like, well, I guess we need to go to Berlin. A little overwrought with the crying over the burned books.
She's one of them, but she doesn't approve of all they do. Or Or maybe it's like when Hitler came to power, a lot of people, it's like, oh, you were forced to become one of us.
All I have to do is squeeze. So she's going to be like, look, if I don't scream, that means you can trust me later. Maybe. Again, it's almost like they are being the actress heading backstage to go to the dressing room, being bum rushed for autographs. They're caught in that crossfire, right?
Right.
Only now they're not the subject. Who are you? You're holding this. I guess you want me to sign it, huh? I go around signing things that I didn't write or read, so I'm really not sure what this is. But okay, I'll go ahead and sign it. I guess this is your autograph book with illustrations.
It built up some tension too. Like, what's he gonna do with it? Is he gonna throw it in the fire?
Yeah, autograph that so I can put it in the fire that's right behind you. We're looking for 2 men, right? Is that what we're passing out?
Yeah.
If you don't wear your glasses, I think we can slip by. I think when they're on the airship here, they don't have pants on. Okay, you can see the blue screen effect there as they were walking up the stairs. And I think this scene is done. They're not wearing pants. That is the folklore here. That Sean Connery said, let's just not wear pants here. It's more comfortable.
He just laid his jacket on the windowsill right there. He's not careful, it could fall out. Now there's Pat Roach right next to Colonel Vogel, right there. The mechanic in Raiders who gets chopped by the propeller and
Yeah.
the...
He also gets grinded in Temple of Doom.
Yep.
Is he dead by the time the 4th one comes out, or did he die after?
He passed away in 2004, 4 years before Crystal Skull.
Oh, okay.
But let's not forget, he was also General Kale in Willow.
I have not seen Willow. It got brought up in conversation a few days ago. I will try to seek it out if I see it again on a streaming service. I know it's occasionally on something, or at least it was at one point. Maybe didn't quite knock him out with that punch, but suffice. Might want to say that in German, though. They are in Germany.
Yet they understood what he said anyway. Go figure.
Do you need to close the windows up once you get flight in there, or I mean, you're going to have a lot of wind kicking around in the interior of this, wouldn't you? Otherwise,
You'd think. Look around them. You can see some shadows from the whatever direction the blimp is going.
By neglecting you, I taught you self-reliance. Self-reliance. You want to talk? Got nothing to say.
To Sean Connery's credit, he's probably one of the only actors on planet Earth who can intimidate Harrison Ford, so it's like, who better than him to play his father?
Only the penitent man will pass. It turns out only the penitent rolling man will pass.
Uh-huh. They always leave out some detail.
Yeah, make sure you roll just in time.
Now, when you're on a plane or a blimp or whatever,
Yeah,
you could
there's
feel when it's turning
what you were
around.
saying with the shadows. Of course, the audience can't feel it, so we need some other indicator. How'd they do that blimp effect? It's obviously not, as the Australians would say, fair dinkum, legitimate.
And conveniently, there just happens to be this biplane that they can get away on.
Yeah, I was wondering, is that how blimps typically take off? Because I don't think I usually see this hanging below them, right?
Yeah, never mind, only 2 people can get on it.
Is there usually like a ladder down to these things too, if it's attached?
I think so.
I mean, how they managed to actually get on that without falling down, I don't know.
Maybe the hatch was just low enough that they could.
Yeah, this effect here, like, there's a couple of weird shots where they zoom in, like they get an extreme close up out of these composite shots, and it makes it look less authentic. You can see there's definitely like this black outline around them because the composite here, see as he shakes his hand and he moves his hand and it has this black trail around it.
Uh-huh.
To do the composite work, it wasn't a computer effect. It was a chemical thing. And it just worked out a little weird. Now, it is nice that there is some real plane action. It's just the majority of it is soundstage based.
Now remember what I pointed out during Temple of Doom. He didn't know how to fly. Now he does.
Yeah, because if he knew how to fly, he wouldn't have had Jacques there waiting, right? Or, I mean, Jacques in Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a guy waiting with the plane, Reggie the snake, all that stuff. What, no big explosion? This guy's pointing out the obvious, like my mom. I'll just gotta change this hubcap and oh no. You didn't even ask.
Looks like that car needs a wash to me too, seeing how dirty the windshield was.
Oh, sure is. There are very dirty cars in these movies. Some of these shots here are not that bad for this effect. Like, I kind of remember it worse.
Oh, that was close.
Drive right in that crater. I guess they're like, well, the payload's spent.
And were these fighters
It was odd that there was a fade shot suggesting that a lot of time passed. There's this fade transition there.
Yeah, and were these guys
But
flying the
the plane's
jets?
still in.
Were they waiting behind the blimp? Like, where did they come from?
Well, the colonel, he got kicked out, so he knew they were on the blimp, so they could have been in pursuit waiting. He definitely knew they were there. They know the flight path, and the blimp even turned around. Here's making use of the umbrella. Bird strike. You didn't see the plane crash. You saw something go by, in effect, and then plane debris explosion on the ground. Well, in Inlet Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cuts to.
They would have had to get a bunch of seagulls to hide under a sheet or release on cue. I doubt they'd lay still there on set until he chases them off.
Yeah, they must have baited that beach out with something to keep their interest. If I recall right, we see an expensive car go by here, or maybe a replica of one.
Yeah, it's
Or
coming.
several.
He makes a deal with the Sultan, so we'll provide you with all these valuables, but we need cars, we need tanks.
Man, them Nazi, they really knew how to dress an officer, didn't they?
Yeah, a quid pro quo.
He didn't look terribly interested.
Must have been offered things like that many times before. Oh, you guys aren't new to me.
30 horsepower.
But here you go. Here's a car for you.
He really wanted that Rolls Royce. Well, you give me that Rolls Royce, I'm going to give you tanks. All right, how far did they just travel? They were like washed up on a beach pretty much. They didn't really have a means of travel, and now they're with Sala.
Good question. They answer that question in the Lego Indiana Jones game. In the cutscene.
Oh, they do?
In the cutscene after they take down the plane, Sala drives along on the beach in a bus. I doubt that's how it happened in the movie, because the cutscenes, they get so wacky with the over-the-top humor, but that's how it played out in the cutscenes, if you've ever played the Lego games.
I haven't, no, but there's so many Lego versions of stuff, and then they make the Lego video game version of that stuff too. A Batman, a Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I've seen them around. That tank has a very large platform to stand and fight on top of. Clearly, it's not the kind of like tank you'd find in the Allies would have, where I think it would be more turret at the top, rotating about. This isn't unfamiliar. I mean, this is kind of like at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. It looks almost like the same little ravine they're going through, doesn't it?
Yeah, very similar. I don't know if it's the same location, but it sure looks similar.
And Indiana Jones has the high ground. The guys are driving through. I've got my mechanic goggles on and a little bit of grease on my chin. Very stylish. And yeah, they're saying it's Jones all right, but it isn't. Listen to that whip whistle sound on throwing those grenades.
Yeah, good sound effects there. But it kept them distracted long enough.
I guess she looks kind of horrified because she recognizes him. Looks similar to the horse he had in Raiders of the Lost Ark, right?
Yeah.
This is weird.
He got the horse to come back up awful
Why
easy
do they
there.
have a little dance thing, like a little dance rhyme greeting?
I,
It's their secret handshake.
yes, to this day I still don't know what that was all about.
He gets slapped a bit here. It's so weird to think that Sean Connery seems like the old guy here, and then he does like more actiony type things years later in like The Rock or Entrapment.
Well, he was also in The Untouchables 2 years before this. I think that was one of the only movies where he won an Academy Award for Best Actor.
Yeah, it was the only one. I haven't seen that, or if I have, it's been decades. I've been meaning to watch it, and then every time I try to get around to it, it gets removed from whichever service it was on. 19, is it 89 also, the year of Rambo 3, or was that 88? That may have been 88. They had a desert tank battle. Cars are never looking nice in these movies. They're so dirty.
They would be when they're out in the desert like this, but even when they're not, they look dirty.
Crunch. I think that's an implausible way that would go down. It'd probably more likely get ran over. Did Harrison Ford actually lean over and pick up that rock? You could see there. You can see on that launching of that truck off of the tank, the cable in place for that to work.
Yeah, it happened so fast, but it was there. It looked like it was him reaching over.
In movies prior to the 2000s, when cars flip over, you can also see cables underneath where they were being dragged to flip and roll. Kind of a cartoonish barrel, Bugs Bunny puts his finger in the Elmer Fudd's barrel explosion on the end of that.
Uh-huh. Or if he's blowing up Yosemite Sam with a cannon launcher or whatever, Sam gets all blackened and then he crumbles to dust.
Make that jump. Where did those guys show up from? Indiana Jones was just on that side as he jumped on, right?
Yeah, they appeared out of nowhere. I mean, okay, they were on the pursuing car, fine, but
Yeah,
they
so
weren't there in the following
in
shot.
pan and scan, you would have saw him shoot 2 people with that gag instead of 3.
Yeah.
This is kind of like pleading with Willie to be useful. Go into the bugs. Come on, we're going to die. Help. Oh man, if you were on that tread right there, you roll off. You don't keep riding that tread. Never good to be like infantryman aboard like a van or a bus or anything in an Indiana Jones movie. You don't want to be one of those guys.
Yeah. Well, they actually show the subtitle for what he said there. I don't think they did that
I
in the
had
movie.
not seen. I don't believe it shows up before. That's the first time I'd seen that. And the Americans fighting like women.
I knew that's what he said, but if you were to watch this like on DVD or Blu-ray and turn the subtitles on, they wouldn't display that. That was so weird.
Well, if you watch this without the subtitles, it may not be there at all.
Yeah, that too.
Because I don't think I've seen that, and I have the DVD set. Let's just pull up right next to this barrel, and there we go. Nice explosion. Now, as he's going by here, I think in the behind-the-scenes stuff, they show them, they've got people like throwing dirt and gravel over on top of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Which I guess doesn't really make sense because the thing that's scraping is not above him. So the dirt wouldn't really be coming down on him so much as to the side and behind.
Well, it might if they're that close to the boulder. Like right there.
Yeah, maybe.
But they have to do something on set to make it look convincing.
have to be pretty soft rock that they're going through there to not get the tank caught up. Magic bullet. And there's our giant ass cliff. Like that.
Just jump off.
Oh, that would hurt. That would hurt one's behind. This guy puts up a pretty good fight with him. I mean, he usually kind of dispatches these guys quicker.
So supposedly he rolls off the tank, holds onto the cliff just before it drops.
But you can't see him.
Uh-huh.
Which doesn't really add up.
Nice little effect.
I mean,
there
I
where
think he definitely could have gotten off. It just seems weird the way they try to explain it for dramatic purposes. He didn't make it, even though obviously he did, because there'd be a downer way to end the movie, right? They didn't get to the Holy Grail and Indiana Jones dies, roll credits. So it's kind of like, why bother playing this he didn't make it angle, right?
Yeah. Nice little effect there where the tank was falling, Colonel Vogel still on it, kind of like cartoonish, where he's falling down with it.
We have this moment to bring out some character in Henry. Look at that giant root that he must have been grabbing on. There we go. That explains it all, surely.
Looks like it's about to snap loose.
He had lost his hat there. He gets it back, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's coming.
Is it on the ground?
Henry's jacket looked a little torn there too.
Yeah. Rolls into scene. Into frame. Well, his forces are definitely depleted. This looks a little Utah-like right here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A little, what was it? The Something Hours movie where the guy is trapped, has to chop his hand off to get out of the boulder. Now, I think that brave British adventurer Carl Pilkington visited this location on his Idiot Abroad series, where Ricky Gervais sends this doofus around to places and torments him. And he just kind of acts nonplussed about everything. Like, oh, well, I guess it's there. Then asks weird questions that less pertinent.
Yeah, I've seen locations of that online.
Interior, obviously, totally different. All right, penitent man. You get that sword up.
The penitent man will pass, but also kneels before God and rolls.
Yeah, we have just sent another guy in there, so you're number 2. Learn from his mistake. I could see that getting edited down on TV.
Same here.
I think some of that was missing if you see this on TV. I don't recall seeing the beheaded guy there before so much, or maybe not much of a shot on the guy's head rolling across.
But nowadays, this would probably be on maybe TNT or Encore Channel. And I think the last time
I think
it was
I
on...
last saw this on TNT about 2002.
Yeah, the last time this was on, I don't think they edited any of that.
Hey, look, we have new volunteers to go through. Like Balrig. What was it? Ballick?
Belloc.
The Ball. Yeah.
However it's pronounced.
He's not. He's sort of with the Nazis for now. But he's, in a way, like, he's very similar character where it's like, it's a mutually beneficial arrangement for us.
I remember jumping in my seat when I saw this in theaters right there.
That'll give you some incentive to find the Holy Grail, see if it really works. Though it does make you wonder what the powers are. Do you have to continually drink out of it to ward off death? Because I initially thought, oh, well, since he's like totally immortal because he drank once.
Or, like, how many years of your life does one drink add? So many questions about that Grail.
The skin tones on this transfer, they really pop. Everybody looks kind of sunburned. Very reddish. Which, nowadays in movies, people look so damn pale, don't they?
Yeah.
There was a time where, like, every kind of adultish comedy had orange people in it. Watch a movie like Hall Pass, and just everybody comes across like vivid tangerine. It's weird what trends there will show up in movies, and then it seems like everybody jumps on it for a time. As far as like the visual language of the day. Nowadays, movies don't have natural color to anything. Everything looks a washy blur in color correction. Yeah, someone might want to relay that message to him. He's saying only the penitent man will pass. Just in case you're not whispering it too.
Good effects here where the
Now look,
cobwebs
I
fade.
can understand ducking, right? But then the rolling.
Uh huh.
This next task at hand here, this would be incredibly difficult to set up, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The illusion bridge, I guess. Oh no, it's not this one. It's the one after, I suppose. I wonder if you can actually arrange steps like this. You had a similar thing going in the Goonies, where they played the piano and the floor breaks away. You played the wrong note, floor goes. Now you step on the wrong thing. Can you really set up tile or rock to fall through like that?
Good question.
Because wouldn't he, pulling himself back up, he would be on one that also wouldn't work, and then he would just, the whole thing would give away, right?
Yeah. He'd have to be leaning against another incorrect letter to get back up.
Also, this would not be an issue for Jackie Chan. He would just like, I don't know, like stretch out and crawl across the wall. All right, now is this the illusion?
Yeah, here it is, right here. The invisible bridge.
You gotta have faith, faith, faith. Nice illustration.
But you feel what Indy's feeling right here. It's like, how can you get across? And even if you intuitively can trust there is a
I don't see
bridge,
anything for me to whip onto, you know?
it's like one of those things you have to believe the bridge is there. Well, the slightest doubt.
How is this inside where they're at? Like, there's no source of light, right? I mean, I don't think this is outside this area. Then the camera kind of whips to the side, and you can see what he's standing on. And also, he has some sand, right? There we go.
And then suddenly the bridge is there. Kind of narrow, too.
It appears as though he's walking in a chroma key thing, though. He's not actually standing on that. That would be a whole, all that's miniature with him walking across. So this guy must be drinking out of the cup all the time. Is that the idea?
Yeah. That's how he stayed alive for so long.
I've got this one book I have to reread forever. Fortunate for you, I never use the restroom. It's not really up to the task of defending the Grail, is he?
Together in the basket. Alright, got that.
It's like he thinks Indy was coming along to take his place.
Look at the glove he's got on him with that chainmail. It looks like it's for an oven mitt. Been waiting for someone to kill me. No, never mind that. Look, my dad's been shot. I gotta go get this thing. Oh my, what is that you have in your hand? What is a gun, you know? Well, wait, 700 years. Could there have been firearms quite different? Now he must choose which one. He must have been waiting to make somebody have to do this choosing thing forever. Keep all of these around. I didn't look these over very carefully, but I think this looks about right. Give it a shot.
Uh-huh.
What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, you don't hear of the other side of the tale. If you drink the wrong one, you die, right?
Uh-huh.
You hear of the one that you drink out of, you live forever.
And he's the one who said, and I quote, "Don't trust anybody."
He trusted her. Though, do you have to drink this particular water to get the full effect?
Good question. Does it have to be holy water?
You drink holy water out of the wrong grail, you're in trouble. Obviously, what would happen to him if done today would be a total computer effect. I don't feel much different. Wait a minute, it's kicking in. I can feel the immortality. Or not. She doesn't look too surprised.
She knew it was the wrong one. She tricked him.
Well, I wasn't sure if she did it on purpose or not, because what's in it for her to be wrong?
It's just her character. She's a deceiver.
That's a really good effect. That's actually, I think that's better than the melting face in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And then I acts
Wind
like
kicks in.
he chose poorly.
Poorly. Yeah, I love that. That could be the best line of the movie.
Yeah, like, oh well, I tried to warn him.
Yeah, but see, she's not really helping him here. It would not be made of gold. So, yeah, I guess she does know the difference, but... kind of looks like it has a gold coating on the inside to me.
Could have been just lighting from the room, but it did look gold.
Cannot pass beyond the Great Seal. Since when was this rule brought into place? And the price of immortality. So does that mean you can't leave also? As they do end up leaving, though the Grail doesn't pass. And they also use it to wash away the bullet wound, right?
Yeah.
Though it helps if there's no hole on you.
I think mainly the point he was trying to get across was the Grail belongs there in the temple. It can never leave.
In some ways, Indiana Jones learns his lesson that maybe it belongs in a museum is not the best philosophy. That who are we to decide where these things go, and thus the Grail gets left behind. So that's it, huh? Drop your guns, please. You were just there listening to the old guy say it couldn't cross the seal. Can you not follow directions?
She's greedy. Her own greed gets the better of her.
I like this shot of her on the ground, kind of like crawling across to it, and you got the floor going away, moving all over the place. It would have been hell to set up. That looks like a long reach. Oh boy. Into the dry ice one falls, right?
Yeah. And she was kind of the girl he gets. I didn't
Yeah,
see
he
that
does
coming.
not get the girl in this movie. Well, he did get her, and maybe got her too soon, you know?
Can't he just use his rope to grab it?
Oh, that would be tricky. I think you could fashion something to grab it, you know, if given some time.
It'd be a long shot, but worth a try.
Oh man, I was hoping you guys would show up and kill me. Damn. Well, I guess I'll just sit here. Heil Hitler. I don't know why you had to give that salute. Look at that cloud. Clouds of smoke now. CG. Smoke, dust, whatever. Sand. Never really believed you, say. Well, it's just us guys left. And as many would point out, this is a good way to end things. You have 4 characters who have been in at least 2 of the movies. Well, okay, no, Henry not so much, but you have Indiana Jones and his support staff riding off into the distance, right?
Right. I always thought it was the perfect way to end the trilogy.
To come back and bring a 4th movie without that, makes things awkward afterwards. Some stories need to just end. And they had many adventures and lived happily ever after. So be it. Not, we have to see everybody to their death.
Yeah, just like Return of the Jedi ended everything perfectly of Star Wars. Did we really need more
boy,
after
he can't
that?
ride a horse. No, it really feels to me like the Star Wars story ended before I was born. I suppose their future plans are to deviate from anything Skywalker related. So you'll have other adventures taking place with some maybe familiar characters here and there. There'll be lightsabers, the Force, but a distance from the Skywalker lineage. Future plans for Indiana Jones. I mean, it would have to be like flashback type based stuff. I mean, you could get any number of actors to try to be a young Indiana Jones and see if it works. If it doesn't, they'd wait a few years and do it again, right?
Right.
I mean, it's from a financial standpoint, it wouldn't hurt to try. I mean, you'd likely make money. Though it's been shown people don't like Harrison Ford being replaced, like with the Solo movie bombing.
Well, everyone was already let down after...
Any parting words here?
Just aside from what I said earlier, just beautiful ending shot here of them riding off in the desert, and here with it fades to the sunset.
I think the music's a little bit different. I didn't hear the Indiana Jones theme throughout this movie. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, it was when they were riding off before the credits started rolling, but...
Well, it seems like it would get used a lot during the action previously. In this one, it has kind of that lighter action score going, where it's kind of, I don't know, whimsical in a way. Because it's kind of like, here's some fun action. I think in a similar way, you don't hear the James Bond theme used as much nowadays during the spectacle moments.
Yeah. But I like how the action here of them riding off plays on for much longer during all this act where the credits are rolling. Usually it would just be fade out to black and the credits would roll.
I thought that maybe it went black sooner. I don't think I've sat through the credits of this. And this is not the usual Indiana Jones song right here.
No, it's just I think, father-son
relationship. All right, Netflix is telling me to watch something else in 15 seconds. So that concludes the trilogy. Do we venture forth and talk about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Let us know, comments below, all that stuff. I enjoy this movie. I think I would give this 3 out of 4 stars. That's pretty high for me.
Same here.
What would you give it?
Same here, 3 out of 4.
All right. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.